From the new home of FATV at 780 Main Street in Fitchburg, hello, I'm Scott May, and this is North Central Journal. And joining us for our show today is Derrick Cruz, the Ward 6 City Councilor here in Fitchburg. Just over a year in office, correct?
Just over a year. Thanks for having me at the beautiful new facility.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Shout out to Nate and Ann and Dan and Travis and everybody for making it happen. It's really terrific.
It's been a terrific experience and a beautiful new place. And I think there's going to be a little ribbon-cutting celebration coming up in the next few weeks, too, to let people get a look at it. Mm-hmm. Now, Derrick, you've recently been named Director of Communications for newly elected State Senator Jake Oliveira of Ludlow. And that district includes Hamden, Hampshire, and Worcester. Mm-hmm. That is the area? 12
communities, about 150,000 constituents, a little bit of everything. It's a very diverse community, and we have just little pieces. You know, I think the highest population that we have is 14% of a particular municipality. Uh-huh. So it's really a little bit of everything out there.
Now, how did you and the senator become acquainted? How did you get this job?
Yes, like any other job, just through connections and building connections with people. Our state rep, Mike Kushmerek, was the one who initially introduced us. The senator actually held signs for me during my campaign for office, so he was familiar with me a little bit and knew my background, and just called me out of the blue and said, "You want to interview?" And I did, and then a few hours later they offered me the position, so I jumped at the chance to do it.
So what are your responsibilities as Director of Communications?
A little bit of everything, internal and external communications, sort of, you know, how we operate, the message that we send. Externally, you know, as far as social media and accounts and all that stuff, press releases to the press, you know, memos and stuff like that. It's a lot of emails, actually. Like any other job, it's a ton of emails, which is fine. Definitely a new for me. My last job, I worked in a restaurant. So I was working 4 to 12, you know, tending bar, and now I'm working 8 to 4 or 5, just at my desk looking at my computer screen. So it was a little bit of a transition. I gotta walk around sometimes, but it's been good.
And it's been good. You've been doing it, what, 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, or something like that?
I started January 5th.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're a little.
So how's it going?
It's going really well.
You got your feet on the ground now?
I do. And it was, you know, there's a learning curve because it's sort of like, you know, okay, I'm the Director of Communications. What the heck does that mean? So, you know, you have to really ask around and, you know, pick people's brains. But fortunately, the State House and the Senate in particular is incredibly welcoming. It's not like you see in the TV with politics and everybody's out to get each other. It is such a welcoming environment where they, you know, they welcome you to sit down. They organize breakfast for everyone to get to know each other, and everybody is so generous with their information. So it was easy to get going once I put myself out there.
I want to go back in time a little bit because politics wasn't your first career choice, was it?
No.
You've got a film background?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So I always wanted to write and direct film and television content, and I had that degree, and I was working in Los Angeles for 4 years after graduate school. Different jobs, writing for reality TV and producing a TV pilot, and I was making a feature film at one point, and the pandemic just kind of shut everything down. Yeah. And we weren't allowed to get together and make movies or anything like that or create content, and so like everybody else, I was watching a lot of the news and just really unhappy with everything that I was seeing from our elected officials, you know, especially at the national level, and not left or right or blue or red. I was just fed up with all of it. Yeah. And I said, either I'm going to shut this television off and I'm going to go be a hermit and I'm going to go live in my own little world, or I'm going to shut it off and I'm going to get involved. And I chose the latter and started getting involved in the community and meeting different people. And eventually I met my predecessor, Councilor Beth Walsh, who said, you know, I'm not going to run for re-election, and I kind of was hoping that somebody would fill the seat that I could trust to do a good job. And I Googled what a city councilor did, and I said, sure, let's give it a shot. So you kind of got involved in politics out of frustration with politics. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Well, you know, it's that old adage, like, there's got to be somebody better than this, you know.
Sure,
and I thought, well, maybe I'm that somebody. So let's see, let's give it a shot. And I've loved it. It's super fulfilling. It's rewarding. It can be incredibly frustrating as well. It's challenging, but at the end of the day, you know, when you get something done, you feel really good about it, and you go, well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this, you know.
And I read somewhere that your decision was to get involved and give back.
Yeah.
that really was a motivation for you.
Yeah, and just see the changes that I wanted to see in our leadership, and you know, make the impact that I felt like I could make. And I got to tell you, once you're in and you get to know a lot of the people, really great people doing a lot of really great things, especially locally, especially in Fitchburg. We have so many wonderful organizations and people in positions that are working so hard for their community. So it was very therapeutic to see. You know, you don't get that message on the news or on TV of what's really going on the ground.
So you've been a Ward 6 City Councilor now for a little over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with that decision that you decided to get involved?
Of course. I already pulled my papers for re-election, and
Oh, you have?
I did.
Oh,
And
I was going to ask you about that.
yeah, it's out there.
You stole the question.
It's out
That's
there.
great. Good.
It's out
Yeah.
there, and I just got my first house, and I had to buy in the ward too, and that was intentional. I wasn't going to move out of the ward and have to resign or anything like that. So, Fitchburg is stuck with me for the time being.
Over the course of your first year as City Councilor in Ward 6, if you had to pick 2 or 3 things that you are proud of, that are accomplishments that you are happy with, what would they be?
So, as a ward councilor, it's a lot of day-to-day stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of potholes. It's trash that wasn't picked up.
Yeah.
So that's part of the job, and I'm happy to do it. I would say the most rewarding days are when you get the phone call that's not, I have a problem, but it's, thank you so much. This was solved.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Whether it's helping a senior citizen with fuel assistance or whatever it may be. I would say that if I had to pick a few, we worked really hard with some constituents and with community development and the DPW on some grant work. And so we got a shared streets and spaces grant for the Mass Department of Transportation and some community development block grants totaling $77,000 that I am proud to say I took a good part in. And that's for sidewalk improvements and beacons for crosswalks on Battelle Street, which is a really dangerous public safety issue as far as speeding goes. So when you get that email or that call from Department of Transportation or Community Development, is hey, we got it, great work. Those are the best days. Yeah.
I recently had an opportunity to interview Mayor DiNatale for North Central Journal, and one of the things that has struck me is the number of new businesses coming into Fitchburg. It seems to be quite the flood. And I know there have been some in Ward 6 as well.
There have been some in Ward 6, yeah. What do we just got? We just got the Gray Barn Boutique over on Airport Road, some new restaurants right across the street. Thirsty Robot is fairly new. I love the Thirsty Robot. If you ever want to get a good beer, Thirsty Robot is the place to be over on Summer Street.
I saw that on Facebook, I think.
Yeah, it's the spot.
On your page.
Probably. I'm a big Thirsty Robot fan.
Yeah.
And craft beer in general. But and they're 2 of the nicest owners. Couldn't be better people, and it's a great spot. And we've got that all over the city. People they're so happy to start their endeavor, and we like to support them any way we can.
Another recent accomplishment, you were named the recipient of the 2022 Latino Excellence Award for Worcester and Middlesex District. And what struck me about this, as I read some information, something that you had posted, you said you were at first reluctant to accept the award. Why was that?
Well, at first I told Senator Cronin, who was kind enough to give me the accomplishment of the award, that I didn't want it. And he's like, I didn't even tell you what it is yet. And I was like, I still don't want it, whatever it is. And that's just, I don't know, it just didn't seem, it seems just kind of strange. Like, public service is my job, But it was, when I found out it was the Hispanic Excellence, I was even more hesitant because, my grandparents are from Puerto Rico. I'm a second-generation American, but, if someone were to ask me what I am, I would say I'm an American.
Yeah.
So even if I check the bubble on Hispanic on, the census or whatever it may be, I've always kind of considered myself that. So I was really reluctant to take the award. But then I thought about my grandparents who immigrated here, so long ago, and they came here for a better life for their family and their kids and their kids' kids, and that's me. So I thought that, it would be really doing them a disservice if that accomplishment, if they were here today and they could see that maybe they would think, well, it was worth it. It was worth it to come here because we've gotten that better life for our kids' kids, and here they are doing what they can.
So you accepted the award to honor your grandparents.
That was it. That was the final decision. Yeah, to do that for them, and I hope that somewhere upstairs they're smiling down at that, and yeah, it was.
I imagine they stood up and cheered when that happened. I would guess.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, that's a great gesture, and I have grandparents who immigrated to this country as well, and I kind of know that you appreciate where you came from, and that's basically what you were thinking of when you decided to honor your grandparents.
I think so.
You're here because of them, really.
I mean, yeah, literally.
Yeah,
I'm
literally.
here because of them, yeah.
So where does Derrick Cruz go from here? I mean, you've had an interesting career to date.
Yeah.
And now you seem to be pretty heavily entrenched in politics. You've taken out papers for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
You bought a new home.
Bought a new house.
You're newly engaged.
I am, thank you.
We can talk about that later, but
okay, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So where to from here?
Well, I'm starving, so I'm going to go get some lunch after. Maybe tacos and tequila, speaking of new businesses. I haven't, sometimes I think about where I'm going to be 2, 5, 10 years down the road. And for me in the past, like you said, I've kind of bounced all over the place. So I'm always like, what are you going to think in 2 years? You've changed completely in the last 5 years. So I'm really not too sure. I know that I like public service. I'm really enjoying the behind-the-scenes aspect of it as far as communications director, because I have, I don't have to take the public heat for any vote that I might make. I just have to take his heat, I guess, if it comes to that. So I'm really enjoying the behind-the-scenes aspect of public service and just learning a lot at the state level about, how resources get distributed and how the legislature works. And it's been fascinating. So I'm loving it right now, and I'd like to stay for the time being. But beyond that, I'm not really sure. I'm still thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner later. So
yeah, the whole concept of what's your 5-year plan never hit home with me. So I know exactly what you're saying. It's just I don't know what's next week.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
If someone wanted to get in touch with Derrick Cruz,
mm-hmm.
Not only from your ward, but how do they go about doing that?
My phone is out there. It's on the Fitchburg homepage. My email is just my name. It's my first initial, last name at fitchburgma.gov. dcruz@fitchburgma.gov. You can call me. I love a cold call. I pick it up. I know that's rare for somebody my age to answer the phone and not text, but I love talking on the phone for a few minutes. It's so much quicker. But if you want to email me, you can do that too. I'm available.
Now, if you ever want to come back to FATV to do a show, I'm sure you'll be welcome. I know you've had some experience here as well.
I have had some experience. If I had the time, I would love to do it, but it's just it's tough to get away from all the duties right now. It's 8 to 5 working for the State House, and then I get on my laptop and I start doing city council stuff. So it can make for a long day, but it's very rewarding, and I'm happy to do it.
It's great meeting you, and congratulations on everything that's going on in your life, and good luck on your re-election bid.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Scott. I appreciate it.
Hello, I'm Scott May. Welcome again to North Central Journal. And joining us for this segment of the show is Rebecca Hess.
Hello.
Rebecca is the legislative aide to State Representative Mike Kushmerek.
Yes, I am.
Great to have you here. And what I guess what interests me initially, right off the top, is how young you are.
Thanks.
And not how old I am, but how young you are. You've been in this position since, spring of last year?
Yes. So.
And you were still going to college. You hadn't graduated yet.
So I'm coming up on a year now. I think in 1 week that'll be my year time here. And then I started while I was still a senior at Fitchburg State University, so it kind of crossed over a little bit before I was graduating.
So a Leominster native, Leominster High School grad, Fitchburg State grad, and you began an internship with Representative Kushmerek initially.
Yes, I did.
How did that come about? How did you hook onto that?
So it was January of 2021, right after the 2020 elections. So we had a new state representative in the area and also a new state senator. And during that time, I was a junior. So it was my second semester of my junior year. So it was the time I needed to look at internships and kind of step my foot into like the political doorway. So what I did was I spoke to my advisor from Fitchburg State University. His name is Josh Sparrow. And I didn't really have any idea of what I wanted to do for an internship. I just knew I liked politics, and I've been doing it for almost 3 years, so it was time. And he recommended to me to intern with the state representative, Mike Kushmerek, for Fitchburg. And so through doing that, I was able to get familiar with him, and I learned like he was a Fitchburg State graduate as well. So I'm like, sure, like sounds good, I'll do it. And at the time, everything was virtual, so like I was able to like meet with him through Zoom and meet with his previous legislative aide, Brandon, and just start from there, January 2021.
You mentioned your interest in politics and political science. How did that come about?
When I was in high school, I was really interested in journalism. And it was my junior year of high school, so it was 2016, and during that time it was like the Trump and Hillary Clinton election of 2016. So pretty much all throughout my classes, history classes, I had a journalism class as well. We were talking about political journalism, so that was my first interest, was political journalism. And then I knew I wanted to go to Fitchburg State, so I chose political science as my major with the hope of focusing on political journalism. And then just from being in so many politic classes, I kind of decided that maybe not journalism, but I wanted to focus on, legislation and behind the scenes aspects of politics. So I kind of steered a different direction, but still with my interest in politics, now here I am.
Now you spend a good deal of your time at the regional office of the state representative, which is in Fitchburg City Hall.
Yes.
Tell us what a typical day is like for you.
So I work from Fitchburg City Hall on the 3rd floor, so I'm there every day. Pretty much what I do is I'm always there, so if anyone calls or stops by in person, I'm able to help them and talk to them. I deal a lot with constituent cases, so picking up the phone anytime someone has a concern or a question, or even if it's not something I can help with, just pointing them in the right direction, whether it be like a municipal office or a federal office. So helping a lot of people through that and talking a lot on the phone, as well as managing the representative's calendar, assisting him with events, scheduling events, and his local appearances, as well as just in between meetings and all of that. And now with the new session, we just filed all of our bills, about 30 bills in January. So now it's the process of getting those hearings, going to the hearings, making sure people are there for testimony who want to testify on these bills. So it's starting to pick up a lot again with the new session, so every day is a little different, but it's still fun.
Occasionally you find yourself at the State House?
Yes, so about every week or every other week I try to go in there on session days just to be familiar with the State House, because I'm still kind of new and it's a very big building. But yeah, we always try to show face there and meet with other representatives and other aides as well.
Now, to quote you, generally, no one who's calling me is having a great day.
Yes, that is true.
I love that. So, how do you handle those calls?
So when I first started, it was kind of like, it was hard because, a lot of the times people who are talking to me are having like not very good days. No one is calling me to say, hey, I had the best day of my life. They're having a problem and they need help getting it fixed. And most of the times this is a last resort. This is where other sections may have failed them and now they need someone to be an advocate for them. So that's what our office is here to do, whether it be through unemployment cases or a bunch of other things. We're here to try and help everyone get the end result they desire and the end result they deserve, really, from having problems dealing with other sections. So people aren't really happy to be talking to me, but any way that I can help them, that people can be really grateful at the end of it, so it's really worth it.
Now, you've had some experience in customer service,
yes.
I read, and you say that has helped you in this position that you're in now.
Yeah.
How so?
So pretty much the same thing, almost like I see when I'm answering the phones, it's the same thing of when I was in retail and picking up the phones. It's answering questions and finding the best solutions. And even if I don't have it on the phone right there, I can at least let the people who are calling us know, let the constituents know that I heard them, I took down all their information, and I'll get back to them with exactly what they need. So it's the same thing as like being a cashier. You know, I might have someone ask me a question or ask something about a specific product, and even if I wasn't an expert in it, I can look into it and get those resources and information to give back to them. And just being able to handle a lot of people at once, a lot of different cases at once, I really attribute that to being in retail and customer service for like 5 years of my life.
Tell us about the importance to you personally and how you've been able to manage a work-life balance. Because I can imagine that the position you're in requires a lot of hours and a lot of time. So how do you make that balance work?
I think something that's really important is having a good relationship with my boss. So Representative Kushmerek, if something ever came up on a day where I was like, you know what, mentally I can't do this, or I just need to take a little break, he would be very understanding of that. And he knows like my priorities, where they are, and how getting the job done is always the top priority. But if something ever did come up, he's very understanding with that as well. So I feel comfortable enough where I can be open, and you know, just also having set schedules really helps. So 8:30 to 4:30, I'm in the Fitchburg City Hall office, and not really trying my hardest to not take stuff home with me really helps. And also, you know, there are times where there are like emergencies. I'll get a call 4:29 of someone who might be homeless and they don't have anywhere to go. So at those times, it's important to make sure like, okay, technically I'm supposed to leave at 4:30, but there's something that is really a priority and is really important that I need to accomplish now rather than push it off. So having those balances really helps, and having a good relationship with who I work with works as well.
I want to read a quote from Representative Kushmerek, who said, "From the start of her tenure as an intern, Rebecca displayed a real aptitude and later a mastery for policy work and legislative analysis, something I credit to her preparation in the classroom at Fitchburg State." So tell us how your education prepared you for this new challenge.
I think working with professors who have had so much experience in the field as well, it was really helpful. So as I said before, my advisor, Professor Josh Sparrow, I also took many classes with him. And you know, he was a real expert in the field of political science and just politics in general. Like, he had a very wide array of experience both in the United States federal government, working like with the president and people close to the president, as well as overseas. He had a very large amount of knowledge about international government and stuff like that. So being able to work with those people at Fitchburg State University and work under them and have so many different they were trials, pretty much just like fake trials that we would work with classmates and stuff, and trying to solve these issues that of course weren't real in the moment, but were examples of like international problems and stuff. So being able to solve those really translated into my work in the state legislature through seeing different forms of bills, different ways government works, checks and balances in that end. So just having that experience in the classroom and working under such experienced professors really translated well to my work here.
Also from Representative Kushmerek, to quote him, "Through her 15 months as an intern, it's been amazing to watch her professional growth and development. Because of this, she really hit the ground running and had my full trust and confidence on day one." It must feel great to have your boss say something like that about you.
Yes, it does.
Now, I wondered, because of your interest in politics, is a career in politics as a candidate in some elected office somewhere down the road for you?
I personally prefer working behind the scenes. You know, I don't do stuff like this. Like, I'm not the one in front of the camera. I'm the one usually behind all of that. So I think that is my preference for now. So I don't know if it would really be my name on the ballot, but I just really prefer working behind the scenes and helping those candidates and working for people like the representative and help them accomplish their goals. I think that works better for what I'm most comfortable with.
So you'll help him in his re-election campaign then?
Yeah, sure. Whatever
You better say yes.
Yeah.
Rebecca, if a constituent wants to get in touch with you and the representative's office, how do they go about doing that?
So we're in City Hall on Main Street. We're on the 3rd floor. And we also have a district phone number, which is 978-829-1954, as well as an email address. They can either email me or the representative. My email is rebecca.hess@mhouse.gov. So any of those ways they can reach out and contact us. All of our information is also publicly available on the MA Legislature website as well. So any phone calls, stop by, whatever anyone prefers, and we can help them out.
Well, congratulations on your new career, your professional career, and all the great effort that you're putting in that is being recognized by the representative, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.